So, is Jeannie, what do we know about Jeannie?
She is not going to be here today.
In any form? Okay. It being, do we have the time on this? That would be handy. We had a little clock on our thing here. Well, thank you all for coming. This is a much quieter room than we usually have, but I will call this meeting to order. It is the March meeting of the Trempealeau County Personnel and Bargaining Committee. I will certify the open meeting law requirements having been met. I'm assuming that in as much as I've had all this information for some time, that public has as well. Well, I know that for a fact. I don't see any amended agendas lying around, so I'm assuming that the agenda is the agenda. Okay. I would entertain a motion to approve.
Move to adopt.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Is there a second? There's just the three of us. It is a quorum. I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? There's number 4. Thank you, John. John, that was a week ago. So this, our current, I am the acting chair, being the vice chair of the committee. Mike Johnson has resigned from the board. He was the chair of this and other committees, as well as having offices throughout the county. Mike Nelson, sorry.
He's probably watching you right now. Yeah.
Hi, Mike. So I think, let's see, what would be a good way to do this? If we were to, so what we need to do then is to elect a chair, possibly a vice chair, for this committee. And
being an acting chair, you should just call for chairman.
Okay, let's do that. I guess generally, if this were the county board, it would be turned over to Paul, for instance, but we don't have someone there. So I will do that. I will call for nominations for the chair.
I nominate Kellen Nelson.
Are there any other nominations for the chair?
I will nominate George Brandt.
Are there any other nominations for the chair? Are there any other nominations? Any other? Hearing none, I will close the nominations. So, Kellen, are you willing to serve as chair if elected? Okay. As am I. So,
Sally on? I mean,
Jeannie, no.
No.
So, at this point, help me out here, John. Do we do ballots or?
it probably won't work because people, I don't know. There's 2 people, so you got to get it done to one somehow, however you want to do it. Somebody want to just rip up sheets of paper, like the agenda, and we just write names on it?
So let's do that, if that's okay. Give us each piece of paper, don't sign it. No, this won't be pretty,
They
but
don't have to be big. You can make them pretty small. Just one name on them.
okay, so we have Kellen with 2 L's, Nelson and George Brandt, DT, have been nominated for the position. Should we make use of the sheriff or the staff to do the counting? No, don't give them to me.
May need to vote again.
Here, go give that to Brett. And Brett, you tell us what the results are.
I'm afraid you're gonna be 2 and 2.
Don't you be putting stuff out there. Sorry, I thought because I was chair, I could vote twice.
George Brandt won. Kellen Nelson won. George Brandt and Kellen Nelson. So yes, you have 2 to 2.
Should we keep doing this, or should we wait until we get a fifth person here?
Is she coming at all or not?
No.
Not gonna be on. Should we delay it a month until we get an odd
Let's delay it a
number?
month, okay?
I think that would be a good move.
Yeah,
Let's delay it a month until we get at least an odd number.
right, or until one of us comes to our senses, which might be.
So we'll just leave it as is for now.
For now, okay. We do have minutes from the previous session. It was February 18th.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve the minutes from February 18th. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Nelson. Any corrections, additions? Seeing none, all in favor of approving the minutes of the 18th, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, they are approved. This is something that I've asked the staff to keep on the agenda. In the past, I've had, concerns have been raised throughout the month as to what is and what isn't the policy related to COVID-19, specifically related to distance working and time off. I think we've, unless someone else has a question related to that, or if there's been a change, anything?
I'm actually going to turn it over to Krista. She's got an update on our benefit software platform that was initiated due to COVID.
Yeah, that'd be great, yeah.
Yes, so last year it was approved for us to purchase an additional benefit online enrollment software. We went through open enrollment. We did end up getting everyone enrolled, so that was a plus. But now looking back, there were quite a few inefficiencies that we ran into, mostly on the back end of things as far as human resources administering that software. We have met with the insurance center, who is the primary holder of that software system, to try and work out some of these kinks. So the next few months, we're going to be looking at the software to see if these problems are resolved. If not, we will probably be going down other avenues for open enrollment for 2022.
Okay. Any questions for Krista? I see you back there. Go ahead, Deb.
There is additional FEMA money available to the county through September that will get 100% reimbursement. So if the option is that you need to make changes to software, there's a cost with that, or if there's a cost for new software, that is certainly an option. So I just want you, as you're looking at that, to know that that's on the table.
Okay, thank you, Deb.
Can you be just a little specific about what the problems related to this were?
Sure. So a lot of the problems that we ran into ended up being with the different brokers. So for an example, Allstate handles our short-term disability and our term life insurance, as well as our whole life insurance. That system talking specifically to this enrollment software. So on the back end, when we're doing the billing, there was a lot of discrepancies, which then turned into the wrong amounts coming out of our employees' paychecks.
Oh.
So a lot of corrections had to be made that way between our office and the payroll, as well as notifying the employees. So that was the biggest thing we ran into. Employees seemed to like it overall. We also had a lot of employees that were very uncomfortable using it. Basically, you go in and you click a button and it's saying that, yep, okay, you're enrolled in all your benefits for the year. A lot of people were very uneasy with that. So,
Oh, really?
lot more work on our end in human resources. Rather than having 1 week of open enrollment, we then ended up having 1 month of open enrollment of employees stopping in, calling, emailing, rather than us being able to capture them like we had in the past in person. Of course, due to COVID, we obviously couldn't do that last year, but hoping this year to do that a little bit differently. So,
Okay. Keep us updated. Is there anything else related to remote work policy, COVID-19 benefits related to that? All right, let's move on. Additional correctional officer, I think this is why Brett is here.
Indeed it is. So this is a resolution that went through law enforcement last month, bringing it to personnel bargaining. And this is for the addition of 2 additional correction officers to the jail staff up there right now. And this is precipitated by a staffing analysis that was done with the assistance of the Wisconsin Department of Correction and also using a National Institute of Corrections template. So, and it's based on our current jail and our current needs. This is not anything to do with the new project. However, I will say that the day we move into the new jail, if we are adequately staffed in our current jail, there is no need for additional staff in the new jail. So this
That
is really
came to my
driven by our
mind,
current
yeah.
jail.
Thanks
but-
for saying that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, our current staffing levels up there right now are 1 captain, 1 lieutenant, 1 sergeant, and 15 corrections officers that work rotating shifts to cover the floor up there. The staffing analysis recommended an additional 7 employees. And as I go through the resolution, you'll see that that's not necessarily what I'm asking for.
Right.
So I thought what I'll do and is I'll just go through each whereas, and if we have questions through a where at any particular ones, I would answer them then. Does that sound reasonable? Mm-hmm. Okay. So in reading the resolution, it's whereas the Trempealeau County Jail administrative staff is responsible for the security and safety of the jail for both inmates and employees. And whereas in order to accomplish this, the jail is required to have a minimum of 3 employees on staff at all times in addition to the administrative staff. Whereas in order to maintain a minimum of 3 employees on staff at all time, to not include administrative staff, the actual number of employees needed per shift is 4 to account for the shift relief factor, and that's vacation, holidays, sick leave. And whereas there is currently 1 sergeant to oversee the 4 scheduled shifts, and whereas the State Department of Corrections detention facility specialists have consistently recommended improving staff levels dating back to at least 2012, and whereas overtime expenditures exceeded budgeted amounts in 2020 by $112,185, 2019 by $88,597.29, in 2018 by $38,211.67, and in 2017 by $24,204.81. And I will point out that that is strictly jail overtime. Jail, that's not sheriff's budget, it's the jail overtime. Whereas there are a select few current employees wanting to work overtime, and the few that do have worked as many as 60 hours in one pay period, causing burnout and possibly less willingness to work future overtime shifts. And whereas hiring part-time correction officers is very challenging due to state certification requirements, and the 2 part-time officers that we currently have are full-time officers in other counties. Whereas our current levels are, as I mentioned, Captain 1, Lieutenant 1, Sergeant 1, Corrections Officers 15 for a total of 18, and a 2020 staffing analysis completed with the DOC and National Institute of Corrections is recommending the following. Captain 1.24, and again, that 0.24 is the shift relief factor. If you have 1 person, it takes 0.24 people to cover for the vacancies when they're off for whatever reason. So 1.24 for captain, 1.24 for lieutenant. Sergeant would be 5.39. That would be to have 4 sergeants on the schedule. Corrections officers 15.45. Programming officer 1.24 for a total of 25. Whereas inmate programming, including support programs such as Alcoholics Anonymous, Recovery Court, GED attainment, driver's licensing, parenting courses, and etc., is vital to rehabilitation and is labor-intensive. And whereas recommended staffing levels will be necessary when we move into the new Justice Center. And whereas Sheriff Brett Semmingson is recommending the following staffing levels: Captain 1, lieutenant 1, sergeant 4, corrections officer 16, and a programming officer for a total of 23 staff, which is an increase of 5 from the current level. And whereas beginning in late summer of 2021, 2 of our current staff members will be assigned to a transitioning team for the new jail, which require full-time dedication of those 2 positions until the opening of the new jail. And whereas while the need to get recommended staffing levels is immediate, Sheriff Semmingson is requesting the addition of only 2 correction officers at this time with start dates of April 5th, 2021, so that they are trained and ready to be trained and ready when the transition team is assigned to the new jail project. Now therefore be it resolved that the Trempealeau County Board of Supervisors hereby approves 2 additional corrections officer positions for the Sheriff's Office effective April 5th, 2021. Now be it further resolved, the annual salary, including benefits for these positions, will be transferred from the general fund and to the Sheriff's Office budget as follows. $114,000. $114,227.94 is the total, broken down to account number 52700-111, salary $74,848.80, account 154, health insurance $27,225.92, account 152, Wisconsin Retirement System, $5,052.30, account 151, Social Security, $4,640.62. Account number 153, Medicare, $1,085.30. And account number 346, Uniform Allowance, $1,375. And so I just, obviously, this is going to be money coming from the general fund now, but these, a percentage of the new positions will be offset by the reduction in Ottawa County housing and transport costs related when we open up the new jail. So even though it's coming out now, the permanent solution will be offset to a certain degree by money saved from the Ottawa County housing problem going away. So, and then also the effective date of April 5th, 2021 probably is going to be scheduled out a little later because it will not be in front of the county board until after that date. So
The 10th is we have an exec finance committee meeting before that, and then the 10th is the meeting.
correct. So I would probably anticipate that the first pay period after that county board meeting, if this is approved, would be the effective date then. We are, just to give you an update, we are constantly hiring part-time persons, and we have 2 currently in background investigations that have also expressed interest in full-time positions. So in the event the county board approves these positions, the pre-application and pre-employment checks and all that may be done by that first pay period after the county board meeting. That's why this could possibly happen that quick. So.
You've heard the resolution. What's the desire of the board?
Move for adoption.
Move for adoption by Johnson. Is there a second?
I'll second it just to at least get it on the floor for discussion.
Second by Austin. Okay, do we have any questions of the sheriff?
This already did pass law enforcement?
This did pass law enforcement with 4 yeas with 1 absence.
I guess I missed this when I read it before the meeting. So it sounds like your whereas the second and the last whereas describes the loss of 2 full-time members to work full-time during the Justice Center project. Could you describe what their responsibilities are going to be and why it's going to be full-time?
Sure. Our policy book right now, our 400 or 500 page policy manual talks about every single door lock, every single movement in the jail, everything to do with the operations of our current jail. That has to be converted to how it's going to work in the new facility. how each door is going to be controlled, whether certain doors can be controlled independently of other doors, who's going to be allowed to move in certain areas alone, who's going to have to be accompanied. It's a complete revision of the policy. Plus, it's an oversight of the building of the jail pods itself to make sure that everything is in accordance with DOC codes. They were being told by the Samuels Group, I guess, is that they work one-on-one with a construction crew nearly the entire duration of the project.
Samuels does, or the sheriff's deputy?
This transition team.
Okay.
Yeah. And this was discussed with other counties when we did jail tours, and they all assigned 2 people at least to a transition team. Apparently, it is very labor intensive, just as it's being described to us.
You have 2 people in mind for that?
We do, yes. Yeah.
So basically, what you're asking for is to replace these people. This
So-
isn't going to address any of the staffing needs that have been recommended by DOC.
Correct.
Or by your own.
Correct.
your
My
own
intent
needs.
is to wait until the savings are realized and we can offset those expenses of new employees with the savings from out-of-county housing. If I were to, even though this is for our current jail, we have been understaffed, going back to 2012, according to jail inspections. I think we can move along as is, so that we don't add this additional expense to the tax roll until we can realize the savings of the out-of-county housing. So rather than ask for everything right now, even though I can justify it right now, I want to try to ease the burden of the finance, and so therefore we're going to piecemeal it. But right now it's truly needed because we will be losing our 2 staff this fall, and in order to get somebody hired and trained and proficient, we need to start now so that they're ready to go at that moment.
Staff, do you have any input here?
Just the recruiting purpose, the sooner we can start, the better. I know we're already recruiting. It seems like we're always recruiting for this position, so this is a very sought-out position. It's somewhat, and it's a lengthy process because there's extensive background checks and things like that. So it does take a lot of time to get somebody on board. And then, as the sheriff said, there's a large training curve to it too. So.
All right, and it was supported by the Law Enforcement Committee. We have any other questions? Issues? We have a motion and a second. All in favor of approving the resolution to be sent to Exec Finance, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right.
Thank you.
You'll be sure that it'll get on the Exec Finance Committee agenda for, that's, whatever that date that is, the Monday after Easter, I guess.
Yes, I will do that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is a Human Services Deputy Director position, new. So, oh, wait a minute, is it? Yes, it is, number 8. So, what is this about? We'll start with you, Amy, and then we'll move to Deb.
So this is not, this would be changing a current position with the added duties, from what I understand. And so this is not, thank you. It's not a new position, but it is a reclassified position. And the only input that I have to offer is just a reminder that the compensation study went into effect, and as you heard the consultant on Monday evening, that any reclasses during the compensation period or wage adjustments is recommended that they be put on hold until the compensation study is complete. But certainly the need for the position or whatever the outcome is, I'm certainly happy to pass whatever information on I can to the consultant.
I suspect Deb has a slightly different take on that, so we're just.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I get you've got to draw a line in the sand, and in fact, when Amy came and talked to me, I think it was actually the day that you guys met, and she's like very excited. She's like, we're going to get this going. And I said, we got to get this deputy director position in place. It is budgeted in our budget. The money's already been set aside for a wage differential for this, so that's already been done. We've been talking, and it's unfortunate Jeannie's not here today. We've been talking about this position at Human Services Board, and quite frankly, you would have had this last month, except that when I was getting ready to bring it to Amy, I realized although we talked a number of times at the Human Services Board, and they said, yeah, just keep going ahead, we didn't officially have a motion. So I needed to get that from them, so that has delayed it, so you got it this month. So this position would be one of the unit supervisors would apply for this. This deputy director duties would be about 30% of their time on average. The other 70% of their time, they would continue to do their supervision duties. We do have lead workers in all the social work areas so that there are staff that can take on the difference of the work. So in case you're wondering where that's going, we got all that put in place. And really the need for this is our budget has grown
Almost 100%.
yeah, and our staff
92%,
have
you
grown
said.
significantly just since I started in 2013. And so we are a growing county, and we do need this extra level of administration. The other thing, of course, that's always prudent is I'm not getting any younger, and succession planning is always important, particularly in a large organization. So at least, again, not to say that this person become the director, but at least that this position would continue to play a key role so that the direction of the organization is consistent. Obviously, the next person that comes in steps it up at a higher level. I'm not going anywhere in any time soon, so nobody should start planning any parties or ordering cakes. But I am planning to go to Europe for a week and a half this fall, and it would be nice to know that there'd be somebody in the office who could make decisions on my behalf. Last time I was gone on extended vacation overseas, I had a phone. I was checking in daily with the office, and time change makes that kind of wonky, but we figured it out. So again, several years ago, I had a health condition. I was out a few weeks with that. So it just to have somebody to provide that continuity and consistency for staff. Also moving some administrative functions in terms of some special projects, having this individual take the lead of it, have this individual be responsible for grant writing efforts, not that they do it themselves, but that they lead the team that works on it. This individual would also be in charge for working on some staffing for complex cases. Again, not only have we grown significantly as a department in complexity, just in how we operate, but there's also significant changes in the people we serve, and the needs continue to get to be more complex within families. So again, this position is really important to our department. We'd like to get this in place sooner than fall when the compensation study is done. And again, our committee looked at this a number of times, but we didn't have an official approval put together for that. So that's why it's coming to you so close to the start of the compensation study. I don't know what questions you have. I did provide a job description and the reclass form. I think you have those, so that's provided a lot of the detail on it.
Committee, any questions? This is a reclassification request for a current employee.
Not an individual. We're going to post it, and the staff, the unit supervisors can apply. So we haven't,
okay.
Some counties have assigned it to certain units. I don't think that's fair because we have some really talented people in a variety of units, and I don't think it's fair to assign a unit to have this be their person. So it will be one of the unit supervisors will apply once this is approved, and it would be posted. Did I make it more confusing?
No, I'll make a motion that we approve a deputy position for deputy director, just to at least get it on the floor.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Nelson. Any other questions? So a question for Amy. If we approve this reclassification, this position, what would be the next step?
Shouldn't have to be any because there's no money involved. Or does it still have to go?
The reclassification is from a pay grade 6 to a higher pay grade, so it is requested to go to a higher pay grade, grade 5. Human Resources has not conducted any wage analysis or placement for this position. Again, knowing that there's a compensation study, this is something that the compensation study consultant would suggest that these be referred through the compensation study and not establish a placement during the midst of that study. So again, no human resources analysis has been conducted. This is something that I would gather that the consultant would take a look at.
Okay.
So it'd be, basically what you're saying, would be nice if we could postpone this at least till October, kind of one.
Or at least referring this to the consultant, so, you know, I mean, we've got the expert in the field for this compensation study, for me to do an analysis, for example. I mean, it would make sense for this to come from the consultant, since they have the greater expertise in this area, as well in determining, or at least going through with what Deb has suggesting to either confirm that or suggest another change.
Any other questions?
In that case, I would draw my motion.
Kellen? Well, okay, you're going to withdraw your motion.
Mhm.
Does anybody else want to make the motion to approve this?
This position in our budget for the beginning of 2021, like, we've been planning this since last August, and now I have to wait till at least October to even consider it and then bring it back?
I think, John's, your original reason for doing it is that it didn't involve any money.
Well, that's what I was thinking. It didn't involve any money, but according to Amy here, it's still affecting the compensation study that's going on currently.
Something that they literally at the last,
Yeah.
Monday night, they asked us not to
And
do
he kind of
this.
suggested at our board meeting the other night, when he, with his hour and whatever presentation, that we do not anything with wages until the wage study is complete.
Go ahead, Amy.
So, and I know that Deb will have an opportunity to meet with the consultant if there's changes and things like that, so so this hopefully would be included with the compensation study, and so that would at least be part of those discussions when that time comes. Again, but I don't know if this is a committee that should establish that there is the need for the position and approve the need, or if it's just a matter of lumping it through with the compensation study. And again, that's the decision for this committee.
So, as Amy just pointed out, part of our job, and your Human Services Human Services Committee has determined that there is a need for this position. So what you're asking us to do is to affirm that there is a need for this position, and to allow this to go forward. Is that's what you're asking for? So that, I mean, thank you for pointing that out, but just throwing that back out to you guys, do you see, is the rationale for the position significant enough to make the recommendation that we go ahead with it? I will say that I was kind of blown away by the increase in the budget, and I'm assuming, since there hasn't been, that's mostly grant money and funding from federal and state, as well as the 30% increase in staff over the last 5-6 years. That's pretty significant. Well, I'm not seeing a desire for a motion at this point. May I recommend bringing it back next month? That'd be my recommendation.
I can do that. I'm not sure we'll be 1 month deeper into the study, so I'm unclear what I would bring.
So here's what I was hearing Amy say, and clarify if I'm wrong. A conversation at this point with the consultant related to the compensation study would help shore up any request for a pay grade raise. So that's what staff is concerned about at this point, is there's been no analysis of this position to affirm that pay grade raise. So a conversation would they be open to that? Is that what you're saying too?
I can certainly reach out to them.
Okay,
This is more than just a pay grade, it's a reclass. Reclass of. that's-
okay. Well, yes, not the grade,
Reclass.
the different class rather, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Deb. So apparently there was some discussion at the department head meeting related to President's Day. Who's going to take that one?
I guess that's mine.
Okay,
So I asked at the department head meeting, just to kind of throw it out there, is President's Day is, all staff appreciate having a paid day off. So first of all, I need to say that and be real clear. The question was, could we get a floating holiday instead of being closed President's Day and having the county board change their board meeting in February to accommodate President's Day? So we wouldn't have that as a holiday that we're closed, but it would be a floating holiday for staff to use whenever they wanted, obviously in approval with their supervisor. That way, again, I think it would be beneficial to the county in that way. A majority of the department heads spoke up. Nobody at the meeting that spoke up had an issue. I believe Amy's at least one has reached out and said they don't agree with it. I did talk to my staff. We had an all-staff meeting just today, and I asked what staff thought of that idea, and they said they would all love to have a day off when the weather was better. Although I will say this year, with as cold as it was that day, was kind of appreciative to not have to drive into work. I would also recommend that you consider, if you were to look at this option of providing a floating holiday and not closing the courthouse that additional day, that new staff that start between January 1st and June 30th would get 2 floating holidays, but staff that started after July 1st, new staff, would only get 1 floating holiday. I would put that out there as a possibility to consider as well. Just an idea, again, for you to consider.
so how many floating holidays do we have now? Just the one? And that comes with, upon hire, I assume? Yeah.
Whenever you start, you get it. So if you just start December 23rd, you'd get a floating holiday. If you start January 1st, you get 1 floating holiday. It's not prorated. You have to use it in a full 8-hour chunk.
So this comes from the department head meeting. My guess is this is the committee decision. You guys would do whatever we wanted with that, I'm guessing?
I could.
Yeah.
I know at the department head meeting, there was some discussion about it, and it was just kind of left out there for departments to reach out to either myself or Deb if they had any feedback or anything more to offer than what was discussed at the meeting. And I just wanted to bring them, I did get a response from one department head that was not in favor of changing President's Day. And again, I don't know if you had any feedback, if anyone reached out to you, Deb. Okay.
So we're the county board. We're the ones that are in a sense, are affected by the President's Day holiday in the sense that we wait an extra week before our meeting. The courthouse is closed. What's the committee's, anybody got an idea about this?
What do you think, Amy? Does it have any effect on anything else as far as you're concerned?
I think that other than the administration of it, because there'll be some administration to do with of how it's being proposed, but other than that, I really have no opinion on it.
So the courthouse would be open that day, but we wouldn't really know how many are going to still take it that day.
It'd be like a vacation day, people could, I mean, if people really love having that day off, they could still take it that as their floating holiday, but I would, based on the feedback I certainly got from my staff and some of the conversation at the department head meeting, I think we'd be as covered as any other day because staff can take vacation on any day or a floating holiday on any day.
Basically, what it's doing is just adding one more floating holiday to the calendar. Right?
But not
Instead of
another
closing
day,
Monday.
but not another day off because
Not another day off, but making it.
President's Day is a
one
paid day off, right?
Just
Yeah.
making it so they can select which day that is
Right.
then.
more. Yeah, just exchanging President's Day for a floating holiday.
Yeah.
I don't see where there would be any problem then.
The only advantage to the board would be that we could just have our regular meetings, that's normal.
Yeah.
But
And of course, that wouldn't really matter one way or the other, I guess, but
It
for
doesn't
them
really-
to have two floating, I don't see as where it would make much difference to us.
I see Rick's on, do you have any opinion there, Rick?
Well, and I just was going to ask Amy, what was the objection from the one individual? We don't know who it was from, but what was their concern?
That it's nice to have a day off between New Year's and Memorial Day. The courthouse is closed that day, so there's not any pressure to be at work. And it would be another day that you'd have to schedule vacation, and that this individual, there's probably people that don't use their other personal holiday or don't use their vacation, so they lose it. So that was the premise around the thoughts from this individual.
Okay, I guess I can see that point of view, so I just was curious, that's all.
Can we just delay this 1 month and send out a questionnaire to all department heads or whatever? And get a response, a better response? I'd really like to know how the employees actually feel about it, and then just a few.
Yes, and
Just
sorry, John, I didn't mean to interrupt. Since it's already occurred this year, it wouldn't go into effect until next year presumably, so you
Yeah,
have time
never
to,
mind.
time to look into it.
We got plenty of time to schedule it for next year anyway, so I'd just say delay it a month and do a little better survey and find out if we can get a little better response.
Okay, let's do that. Just one more thing for Krista to do, I guess.
Yeah, there's, put something on your agenda.
All right. The Human Resources Information System, what's up with that? I've heard of geographical information systems. I have
Debbie's
never
happy
heard of
with
a Human Resources Information System.
I don't think Debbie's happy with it.
So what, who's going to talk about this? Okay.
So Human Resources, we have a Human Resources Informational Service. It's called HRIS system. It's very common in our practice. And some agencies, it has a module off of their payroll system or their finance system. We don't have that option that could meet our needs. And the current system that we have in place is, we've just been notified within the last month or so that our current system is no longer supported by the end of the year. So we have until the end of the year to find a new system and get that implemented and working. So this is a huge task for us. Our current system has been difficult to work with, to say the least. I mean, Krista and Lisa do a wonderful job in navigating that and getting through that. But even the support group that we contact is changing all the time. And so we've been trying to take really good notes and learn as much as we can because, and again, the reason for this system is our record keeping. When we get requests for verifications of employment or open records requests or things like that, this is a way that we are able to punch in that information and have it readily available to us. It's not, so it is a necessary tool. It's an absolute need for our department. It's very unfortunate that this has been accelerated as quickly because it has not been budgeted. Right now, IT department is supporting this system in terms of their budget, and the cost of our current system actually went up by almost double. So they don't quite have the budget for our current system, and let alone adding another system. And so it's a huge undertaking. We've demoed probably about 5 different systems so far, and we're just taking notes, and what we'd like is to kind of come up with some recommendations or things that might work for us and our needs, and then bring that back to this committee for approval. The one thing that, and like I said, just implementing something is going to be a process for sure.
I think this is a bigger deal than you're making it sound. Tell me some more about what this does. You had mentioned employment records and open records requests. It's got to be doing more. I mean, if this is something you're using every day.
There's a way that ideally we should be able to utilize it for more reasons. We're somewhat limited with our current system, and again, because it's a lot of input of data. You've got your payroll system data, and then we have to enter our data, and so it's making sure everything matches. But again, it's hard to explain. And Krista, if you have anything to jump in, feel free.
So, in an HRIS, you can have different modules, we'll say. So our current system that we have right now is basically our database of information. So if I wanted to look back and see every single year what my pay increase would be, that's where I would go, would be to this system, and I can see all that history. You can buy different modules for recruitment. You can do a benefit enrollment module. You can do a time off tracking module.
Are you doing any of those now?
We do not, no. So we just have basically our data module is what we'll call it.
Okay, so that is basically all you've got is employment and
Yeah.
and
In a
wages.
perfect world, I mean, yes, it'd be nice to encompass all of that, but realistically, it all comes with a price tag. So
the price tag then, it sounds like you would like a system in which you could do the benefits, in which you could do the time off tracking, in which you could do all the stuff that you're currently doing. So why did the cost of maintaining this double in the last year if it's not doing anything or much of anything?
Right. I think a big piece of it is because it's a desktop application now, and it's going more web-based, and so the desktop won't even be supported anymore. So for this new type of software, it comes with a bigger price tag, is my understanding anyways.
I didn't get a real clear answer as to the jump in price as of this year, so.
You don't even know what the price is at this time?
Oh, yeah, the price of our current system, I believe it's around $3,500. And again, IT normally budgets for that aspect, but again, we're not expecting the price hike. It's normally around $1,700. So again,
Okay, so we're not talking in the tens of thousands yet.
well, the current system.
Okay, well, let's talk about the 5 that you've looked at. What are they looking like?
Well, we've only just done this and started this process, so I don't have notes as far as all of that information, but I was hoping we're starting to put that information together, and then we'll have that ready by next month. But again, there's a lot of different options out there, and again, a very varied array of price tags with each of those systems.
Okay. Who is, you were talking about communications with a support group. Are you talking about other county HR departments or vendors?
Our system that we have is called People Track, and that's our computer system that we have all of this information database in. And so we refer to the People Track support group, and they're the ones that help us deal with the snags and hiccups that we run into. And
Tech support? Okay. So this was a heads up, the hammer's coming down later. Okay. Budget time's coming up, John.
Luckily, we're gonna get that 5.7 million.
Is that the number for the county that we're looking
That's what
at?
NAGO says,
Oh, wow. Okay.
5.7, $750,241, I think is the exact figure, is what our share is supposed to be of that COVID relief bill.
From the current bill, not the FEMA and the CARES
No, from
Act.
the current bill that just got signed and checks are supposed to be coming out already.
It would be worth prioritizing, you know, how to use that and where the needs are.
I don't know, this is, and I just don't see it coming directly to the county, but that's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to go directly to the county, unlike everything else goes to the states and they allocate it out. So this would be that would be kind of a godsend if we actually get it. And supposedly it's, you know, it's still on their webpage if you go to NACO. They sent me a personal email on it, but
That's cool. Yes. So updates, we have, I was just at the bakery in Galesville and they were,
did you just bring any donuts?
they had a sale on their turnovers and I should have brought the turnovers for the turnover report. I don't know what I was thinking. So what do we know? Not about the turnovers at Lily and Ivy's, but in the county.
I think the biggest thing to note for the committee right now is we are very busy with recruitment. We have 20 positions right now currently that we are recruiting for, and these are just positions. So and this is a mix of our regular staff and our casual staff. We are recruiting for like 2 flaggers and 2 truck drivers in the highway department, for example. So when I say 20, it's only counting one of those truck drivers, one of those flaggers. So we have a lot of different recruitment going on right now in a lot of different stages. So we are very busy with that aspect right now in our office.
Okay. The compensation study. I've learned never to trust anybody who says, I'm going to be brief, being one of those people myself. So we had quite the presentation on Monday night, which I understand the department heads had that day. So you want
Actually,
to?
theirs was about 45 minutes longer during the day.
So what can you tell us about
So
what next step is?
So
Or current
after
step.
the kickoff meeting on Monday, so the next step, and this did go out to all of the department heads, is kind of a recap of the presentation that was given and what information is needed from departments at this point. So now we are at the stage of the job documentation phase. So department heads have been sent all of this information and instructed to start completing that job description questionnaire, updating job descriptions, and getting that very thorough information that the consultant is needing in order to analyze each job. So if we've got 10 people in one job, what it means is that we need one JDQ, one job description questionnaire. So if we've got 10 people in one position, it's up to departments to kind of help either assign one person to fill it out with the input of the other 9 people, or assign it as a group. But at the end of the day, the point is to elicit employee feedback in this process, but also to come up with one JDQ for each of those positions. And right now, we stand at about 130 positions, so that'll be 130 JDQs to get done and accomplished. And once the employees complete that process, and again, with the help of supervisors, will review that information for accuracy. They are to get that information to Human Resources and then off to the consultant by April 30th. So that's our deadline now.
At the beginning of your description, you had said that department heads would be updating job descriptions. Were you referring, is that something separate than filling out the JDQ?
It could be either one. If there is an updated job description already, that is perfect. Go ahead and you can use that information. But the JDQ is laid out in a nice format to help. It knows the questions to ask and what to fill out. And so there's instructions on how to fill out that JDQ. It's an 8-page form. It's not an easy, quick process. It really is a matter of going through each job and having an accurate reflection of what that job is. And that JDQ helps gather that data that's needed. Again, but if there is already an updated job description, that's great. But I think that I guess the preference to the consultant, it doesn't matter either way as long as that data gets to the consultant.
You know, there's a mixed message there, which is an issue that we had during the Whiffley study 8 years ago, where some heard one thing and some department heads heard one thing and some department heads heard another. I would think, based on that, I would hope, based on that experience, that the message to the department heads is, you will all do one or you will all do the other. That is to say, you will all be sure that each position fills out a JDQ, or you will all have an updated job description. If you blend it, I can see the difficulty, especially if there's no employee input, the difficulty with a director saying, this will be easy, I'll just send in all of these job descriptions.
And again, if the job description is very up-to-date and accurate, that's one thing, but a lot of the job descriptions in the county are not. I mean, we do review them on vacancies and things like that, but again, I think the JDQ is laid out to gather all of the information, so maybe that job description is up-to-date, but maybe it's not as current or inclusive as it should be. And
I
so
know,
this,
it looks like the JDQ includes things that we don't usually put in job descriptions. I guess that's where I could see a problem.
And for our purposes in human resources, I mean, we do track the changes to job descriptions, so, I mean, the message that I guess that I would prefer is, I mean, if departments are updating job descriptions, to just please track those changes that you're making to those job descriptions, because that is a history that we keep in human resources. Regardless, at the end of the day, if you're completing the JDQ, we'll take all of that information and put that into and create an updated job description. So that's something that we will be doing in human resources at some point. But it's nice to have that JDQ all in one format and for us to easily navigate. And again, if you are choosing to update the job description instead, my advice would just to track those changes that you're making.
I think we just had a circular conversation.
You said 130, 131, whatever it is. Does that include the highway department?
But does not include the healthcare center. Okay, thank you. Are there any events coming up?
We did have our annual audio testing at the end of February.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Our
Sorry.
annual.
Sorry, I got it. I'm sorry. I
And so
couldn't
this is
resist.
something we do once a year. We've got about 100 people. This does include the healthcare center. And so we've got about 100 employees on that program. And from what I understand, we had 80 that participated, so we had a really good turnout. So the other 20 that were not able to make that on-site testing will be subject to getting scheduled for a makeup exam with the local clinic. So we're in the process of making sure that we get 100% compliance on that. It's just a matter of following up with those that need to do the makeup testing.
Is there, I just got my second vaccine yesterday, and I have, and I understand that educators, teachers are now getting their vaccines as well. Has there been any prioritization of public workers, of highway, law enforcement, county workers in terms of vaccination?
I know that Barb had just given an update just the other day at her committee in terms of the public health, and I think the priority, and again, I don't want to speak for her, but looking for my notes. I think that, yes, it's open to educators, but I think that's as far as that list has gone down at this point.
Sheriff's Office staff have received theirs, as well as corrections officers.
Right, that was kind of the first phase.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I think Barb would probably be the better person to ask on that question.
She has a request in our
Yes.
packet. Will that be in closed session? Okay, good. I don't want to miss that. The budget update.
The only thing that I have is again, with this HRIS system and trying to navigate that, and then also the with the employee navigator, the benefit system that was budgeted, we're still working out those kinks, and we're not sure if that will be continued or not. So we've got a couple of things that we're still trying to work out between the HRIS system and then the benefit system.
And those may affect the budget throughout the year. Okay. Okay. Anything else before we go to number 12? Okay, Ms. Ziegland is here. There's an issue related to some complaints that were filed with the HR department, which we will be discussing in closed session. Ms. Ziegland has volunteered to answer any questions related to that, but has also volunteered to stay in the hall until we think we want to bring her in. So I think I would prefer that, because we will have other issues that we're dealing with in closed session as well.
If I may, with other issues in closed session, I do not want to be present, but I would like to be present for the hearing of the concerns, just to make sure they are properly aired and be here immediately for any questions.
Okay.
But then I will leave
Okay.
before or after, whatever you want to do.
All right.
Could we do her first?
Rick, are you here to help us with that?
Yes, I am.
Okay. You know, what I'd like to do, Kathy, is I'd like to get sort of Rick's overview of this and Amy's overview, and then when we have questions, we'll have you come back in, okay?
All right.
Okay. But at this point, I would entertain
I'll make a motion that we go into closed sessions per Wisconsin statute 19.85, parentheses 1, parentheses C, to update the committee on consider employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data regarding personal issues, including reclasses and wages.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. We need a roll call vote. Nelson?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Austin?
Yeah.
Brandt, yes. We will go into closed session. Rick, will you stay with us? Amy, you as well?
Yes.
Okay. We are going.